Have a listen at this one first.
Dozens of aircraft, warehouses, command headquarters, aircraft hangars, and satellite communications infrastructure. So Iran even managed to bypass American air defenses. So early in the war, an Iranian F-5 fighter jet bombed the US base Camp Buring in Kuwait, despite the base having air defenses, a rare breach that marked the first time an enemy fixed-wing aircraft has struck an American military base in years. So since Iran does not have the capability to strike the United States, their plan, once the US struck them and started this war, was to strike US bases in the Gulf region, and that's exactly what they did. Now, these Gulf countries were under the impression that if they host US military bases, that means that it's going to bolster their security. Oops, well, that didn't happen. In fact, at the very start of the war, Trump said, and he literally said this out loud, that he was surprised that Iran struck US military bases. Could it be because Iran showed a great deal of restraint following previous US attacks on their country? Probably. But you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And so now the real question is whether or not these Gulf countries would even be willing to host US military bases should the US government decide to rebuild those bases. But let me continue with more of the damage.
No, I mean, it's not that Donald Trump did not know or that he was surprised to see that Iran indeed attacked US bases in the Gulf countries. It is that Donald Trump just lied about it. I don't think anyone, let alone a president of United States, thinking that or can think that a country will not retaliate, a country like Iran, once they come under attack. How can that be even possible? So Donald Trump, he knew all of this, that yes, Iran is going to come after them, their military bases in the Middle East, but guess what? Hey, we will pretend we did not know anything about this. Because if they accepted or acknowledged that yes, Iran could have come after this US bases in the Middle East, then of course United States had to provide defense system to these countries, to these Gulf countries. But the United States doesn't have any defense system. Whatever they had, they gave it all to Israel. In fact, they pulled some of the defense system from South Korea, from Japan. Donald Trump is just lying. I mean, throughout this entire war, he lied. So he lied one more time in this case. Not a big deal for him.
So the $5 billion price tag that I had referenced earlier does not include the cost of fixing some equipment like the radar and aircraft that was destroyed, which is going to cost a lot of money. So Iran hit you.
So they have spent, or they will be spending $5 billion just to repair those damaged equipments, military equipments. And remember, these are not included those critical equipments that US military would need on a day-to-day basis. These are major military infrastructures that they need the money for. In other words, what we are seeing here is a complete disaster for United States military and a big loss when it comes to reinvesting in all of these equipments for really no reason. One man sitting in White House decided to go for this war without calculating the cost, without thinking about the risk. And now the United States taxpayers, they're thinking or they're counting the money in billions of dollars, just for one man made that mistake because he is so arrogant. He couldn't help himself.
US bases in at least 7 different countries: Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. The report claims that detailed information is being withheld from members of Congress, which should be unsurprising. One of the anonymous congressional aides even said that no one knows anything, and it's not for lack of asking. We have been asking for weeks and not getting specifics, even as the Pentagon is asking for a record high budget. If you guys can remember, Donald Trump has requested a defense budget of $1.5 trillion, which is insane. Which is absolutely insane. But the administration has even requested that private satellite companies refrain from imaging the US bases that have been destroyed. And that was confirmed by a satellite company.
They are asking now for trillions of dollars for defense budget when they are already spending almost $1 trillion. I think right now it's sitting at 890 or 800, and I'm not sure what is the exact number, but close to $900 billion. That's the defense budget United States has. and it increased over the years since the war with Afghanistan back in 2001, when they were spending $600 billion, $700 billion. Now it is almost $900 billion. But take a look at the outcome of investing or allocating that much of money, almost $1 trillion. The outcome is zero. They have not been successful in Afghanistan. It was a complete disaster, as we have seen how Joe Biden, he just ran away from the country, his military. And then we have seen in Iraq, nothing happened. The country and the entire Middle East right now is unstable because of that particular war. And United States lost thousands of its troops. 1 million Iraqis were killed. And then the next war in Iran right now is going to be even much worse. So the cost is just piling up without bringing any result for Donald Trump, without bringing any result for the United States. And guess what? All of this money are spent not for the United States. Even if it was for the United States, people could have said, okay, we spend the money for our own country. Yeah, we were not successful, so what? It's our country, it's our money. We can do whatever we want. But that money went to the protection of the Zionist state of Israel. That's pretty much is the regret here.
Called Planet Labs. Now, a Pentagon official also stated the following: "We do not discuss battle damage assessments for operation security reasons. Our forces remain fully operational, and we continue to execute our mission with the same readiness and combat effectiveness." Well, if what we've seen with Iran so far has been the Pentagon's idea of readiness and combat effectiveness, I really don't know what to say. We're in a lot of trouble. And by the way, the fact that we've depleted 80% of our missile interceptors when we're making enemies all across the globe in order to make our little friend Israel happy should be concerning for anyone who has any fear for our national security. NBC's report also acknowledged that Iran's counterattack could hurt the narrative for the foreign policy hawks that can get effed as far as I'm concerned. The issue could embolden critics of America's military presence overseas who have advocated for shrinking the US presence in the Middle East, one US official and one person familiar with that matter said. Well, I mean, I certainly would be in the camp of, if I weren't an American and I were in a country hosting a military base that was getting attacked, yeah, I would be in the camp of maybe we shouldn't host US military bases on our land, but who knows?
No, it's obvious. Yeah. They thought that it was going to protect them.
Another thing you may not have known, and that is Iran actually came up with their own numbers for US casualties, and said they have said or claimed that the number was hugely deflated. The casualty number of United States troops were deflated. It is much higher. It's in the hundreds at least. But of course, we know only 13 soldiers were killed, but hundreds got injured or killed, according to Iranian estimation. The Trump administration, they lie, and they have lied about the numbers. And these are all happening because of Mossad, their pressure, Israeli pressure on United States military, United States government. We do not know. In other words, forget about all these numbers. We'll never know the whole truth as long as Donald Trump is taking order from Netanyahu. Subscribe for more videos, guys. I'll see you in the next one.